Discussion. All in favor? Thank you. Moving into the regular agenda, item 2, public hearing, amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance. Subject hearing involves considering an ordinance amending section 8.2.16 of the Unified Development Ordinance, UDO, to amend the maximum square footage and the method of computation for square footage calculations relative to private clubs in the Central Business District. The Gastonia Planning Commission voted unanimously to approve the ordinance amendment. Mr. Jason Thompson, City Planning Manager. Jason.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you. Good evening. This ordinance amendment proposal that is before you tonight deals with the existing UDO standards for private clubs. Private clubs are establishments that exist primarily to serve alcoholic beverages. And they differ from restaurants in that if food is provided at all, which it doesn't have to be for a private club, but if it is provided at all, it is in a minimal fashion relative to the alcohol sales. Private clubs are also unique in that they have to be licensed specifically by the state in order to dispense alcoholic beverages. Right now, the Unified Development Ordinance requires that private clubs that want to locate in the Central Business District, if they are over 2,000 square feet of space inside the establishment, that they have some level of kitchen and a menu in order to prepare and serve foods there. It can be a minimal amount of foods, but they do have to have those facilities. Also, the UDO has some specific criteria included in those standards as to how the 2,000 square feet is actually calculated, what areas within the establishment qualify as part of that 2,000 square foot calculation and what areas do not. The proposal that is before you here tonight is to adjust some of those standards. The proposal here would adjust that maximum square footage from 2,000 to 3,000 square feet, and it would also make some clarifications as to how those calculations get made in order to determine that square footage threshold. Staff has been administering the current ordinance standard since 2008. That's when these rules were put in place originally. So we've got about 5 years in which we've been dealing with folks who are considering putting in private clubs or who have put in private clubs. And in that, we've noticed that particularly those standards relative to calculations could be, in our estimation, a little bit clearer, a little more straightforward. In other words, right now, the ordinance says that the calculation for that square footage threshold can exclude storage areas. If you have an area in the back where you're keeping different products or other items that you use as part of the business, you can calculate that out because that really isn't where the dispensing, serving, the consumption of alcoholic beverages is taking place. But at the same time, it doesn't specifically say that, for instance, if you have an office in the back for the operation of the business, that you can calculate that out. It doesn't say that you can calculate out specifically the area behind the bar, which, again, these areas are not being used for the consumption of alcohol. They're part of serving and operating the business. So as part of this proposed amendment, staff has prepared some edits, some changes to allow us to, in a more straightforward fashion, administer the code. It'll be clearer for staff and it'll be clearer for someone who might want to open one of these businesses, whereas right now it's a little bit complicated. The other aspect of this, with regard to that square footage threshold, the proposal to go from 2,000 to 3,000 square feet, is the result of some discussions that staff has had with someone who has approached the city about the potential of opening up a private club. And so that 2,000, that's not a very large space when you think about a business. And so, again, it was put in place in 2008. I think the thought process at that time was that there was a little bit of discomfort with the idea of, say, a very large, and I'll use the terminology, warehouse-style nightclub coming into the downtown at that point in time. So, that restriction at 2,000 square feet, I think, gave everyone a little bit of confidence that we wouldn't necessarily see that type of proliferation of that size and that type of establishment. So really what we're looking at now is we've dealt with this code for a number of years. We feel like could be some tweaks to some of the standards that would make a little more sense and might allow for some of the existing building stock to be utilized if someone seeks to put one of these establishments in the downtown. So with that being said, I am happy to answer any questions. Staff is recommending approval of the ordinance amendment request.
Questions, Mr. Thompson? Yes, sir. I have questions.
Jason, I notice it says down under E, in the actual ordinance amendment, it says the floor plan shall delineate separately the areas of the building or structure which are used for dispensing of food and beverages, entertainment, and dancing. Under entertainment, I'm assuming that could be anything from pool tables to anything like that. Will that be included in the new square footage calculation or not, such as storage, kitchen, that kind of thing? To me, it's not clear what you're saying there.
The area is really to focus on when you're looking at the actual ordinance language. The areas that are in underline or strike through text in the exhibit that you have there in your agenda packet. Anywhere you see underlining, that's additional language that's being added. Anywhere you see a strike through, that's language that's being taken away. And if the text is not written in one of those ways, then it's not being changed at all. So the only areas that are really proposed to be adjusted here is under C, where you see the change from the 2,000 to the 3,000.
I understand that, but
Sure.
I'm talking about in E where it says entertainment. If you go back up to C, where it says what is counted and what is not counted, entertainment's not mentioned in C, but it's mentioned in E. So does it get counted or not get counted?
It does get counted, yes.
It does get counted. Should that not be added to C so that we know that entertainment is being counted?
Both C and E apply in this case. All of these standards that you see, A, B, C, D, as you go down the list, are going to apply. So it could be taken away from E and placed under C, but in either case, it would still apply.
Yeah, I don't think you're following what I'm saying. C specifically states space used for the business, not counting areas used for storage, offices, kitchens, behind the bar, restrooms, and any area dedicated to the retail display and sale of merchandise. So that's telling you specifically what is not to be counted. Okay, above that, it says any private club in the CBD with over 3,000 square feet of indoor space used for the business. Then you go down to E and it says, it's talking about an application for development approval for a lounge within the CBD shall include a floor plan of the building or structure in which the lounge is to be located. The floor plan shall delineate separately the areas of the building or structure which are used for the dispensing of food and beverages, entertainment, and dancing. I'm just saying we're passing a new ordinance here to clean up this language, but from C, you're saying what can and cannot specifically be counted in the square footage, and then E mentions things that are never mentioned in C. So you're not really cleaning it up. You're saying entertainment, dancing, those are never mentioned in C. Should we not in C say that this specifically is to be counted in square footage?
We certainly could add that language if you felt that it would make it clearer. I think staff, when we were taking a look at this and trying to clean up the language, we felt like that if we clearly stated what cannot, that then anything else would be counted. But certainly, I mean, I think I see your point with regard to the word entertainment. It's a little bit vague. If you would feel more comfortable, say, clarifying exactly what we mean there. Are pool tables included? Is a dance floor included? Is a stage?
Entertainment, you could have a dance floor, a stage,
Sure.
and then maybe a DJ booth. Well,
Sure.
what does the DJ booth count as? Is that actually storage because you're storing electronic equipment in there, or is that part of the dance floor, which would be counted?
Yes.
I think we're trying to clean it all up. So let's just go ahead and clean it up. Let's not leave anything else to chance there. Entertainment's very open-ended.
I think you're making a very good point, and we could certainly look at doing that if it was council's wish for us to take this back, maybe bring it back to you at a later date, or a vote tonight to add some of that language could also do the same thing.
There's more questions.
Jason, this is going from 2,000 square feet to 3,000 square feet. Is that because they want to have food being served in 3,000 square feet places, and places that are 2,000 square feet can't serve food?
If currently under the ordinance, if you seek to be a private club and the area that is dedicated to the operation of the private club, as we just talked about, those qualifying areas, total less than 2,000 square feet, then you do not have to have a kitchen, you do not have to have a menu of prepared food. If, however, the location that you're seeking to go in, you would have greater than 2,000 square feet, you must have those things. You must have a kitchen and a menu of prepared food. So the proposal here tonight is to take that threshold from 2,000 up to 3,000, so that, say, if a location had 2,500 square feet devoted to the operation, they would not have to have the kitchen and the prepared food menu. Whereas as we stand here today, they would have to have that.
So if it's 25,000 square feet, they can just sell alcohol only, and they don't need to have any kind of food, correct?
Correct. 2,500, yes.
2,500.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kibble?
Thank you, sir. Jason, is this, I understand our intent to clean this up. Is this as a result or as a request, or are the business owners like asking for this? Have they gone on the record that this would enhance their business, or where are we coming from with this?
The square footage is directly related to a current request, a current conversation that staff has been having with an individual who wants to locate in a building in downtown. Staff always considers these types of requests, and we want to take a look at our ordinance and make sure it's functioning well for what the city intends for a location, in this case downtown. So that's part of it. The other part of it, in terms of clarifying some of that language, really isn't so much related to that. It's really related more to our experience as staff in terms of trying to administer the code. Right now, it isn't necessarily all that logical, and we feel like we could clean it up. So,
Thank you. That's all I have.
I would like to make a motion to table this, let them clean up some of this language so it's better clarification for everybody, and bring it back to council after they've done that.
Is there a second?
Oh, second.
Wait a minute,
Discussion?
That's right. Go ahead.
could we have a date certain?
Next meeting.
Have a date to bring it back?
Yes.
Next meeting.
Next meeting.
meeting.
Okay.
The next meeting. Thank you.
First Tuesday in September. Okay, any other questions? All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you, sir. Okay. Item 3 is an economic incentive agreement between Lawyers Building LLC